Sophia adjusted the neatly folded silk scarves on the display table, trying to ignore the way her boss, Miranda, barked orders at her. The boutique was a place of luxury where only the wealthiest customers were welcomed with open arms. But for Sophia, it was just another day of enduring insults and being treated like a servant. She barely made enough to survive, yet she held onto this job because she had no other choice. The glass doors chimed as someone entered. The moment the man stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. He was old, his clothes wrinkled and faded, his shoes scuffed from years of wear. The other employees sneered, exchanging amused glances. Lisa, one of the senior sales assistants, wrinkled her nose in disgust. "Sir, I think you're in the wrong place," she said in a mocking tone. "This is a luxury boutique, not a thrift store." The man's weathered face remained calm, but Sophia saw the way his fingers trembled slightly. He lowered his gaze, as if already expecting to be turned away. "Maybe I just wanted to look," he said softly. Miranda marched forward, arms crossed. "We don't have time for people who aren't here to buy. Please leave." Sophia's heart clenched. She hated how easily they judge people by appearances. Before she could stop herself, she stepped in front of the man. "That's not fair," she said, her voice steady despite the glares directed at her. She turned to the old man. "Would you like some water? You look like you've had a long day." The man's eyes flickered with surprise, then warmth. "That would be kind of you." Ignoring Miranda's disapproving glare, Sophia hurried to bring him a bottle of water. As he sipped, he gave her a small smile. "You're the first person to treat me like a human today." Lisa scoffed. "Sophia, stop wasting time on him. He's not buying anything." But Sophia ignored her. "Would you like to see some suits? We just got a new collection in." The old man hesitated, then nodded. "I'd like that." As she guided him toward the racks of tailored suits, she had no idea that this simple act of kindness would change her life forever. Sophia carefully guided the elderly man toward the suit section, ignoring the stares and muffled laughter from her co-workers. She could feel the tension in the air, but she refused to let it shake her resolve. The man, who had introduced himself as Henry, ran his fingers over the fine fabric, admiring the craftsmanship. His eyes held a quiet wisdom, as if he had seen more of life than anyone in this store could ever understand. "This one is nice," he murmured, touching a navy blue suit. Sophia smiled. "It would look great on you. Would you like to try it on?" Before Henry could answer, Miranda stormed toward them, her heels clicking angrily against the polished marble floor. Lisa followed close behind, arms crossed, smirking as if she already knew what was coming. "Sophia, what do you think you're doing?" Miranda's voice was sharp, cutting through the boutique like a blade. Sophia stood her ground. "I'm helping a customer." Miranda let out a bitter laugh. "A customer? Do you really think he can afford anything here? Look at him. You're wasting time when you should be assisting real clients." Henry remained silent, his expression unreadable, but Sophia saw the way his hands tightened around the fabric of the suit. "With all due respect, Miranda," Sophia said firmly, "we shouldn't judge people by their appearance." Lisa snorted. "Spoken like someone who doesn't understand business. We cater to the elite, not, well, whatever this is." Miranda's patience snapped. "That's enough, Sophia. You've embarrassed this store for the last time." She turned to Henry with a fake apologetic smile. "Sir, if you're not here to buy anything, please leave." Sophia clenched her fists. "You don't have to treat him like this." Miranda's gaze darkened. "And you don't have to work here anymore. You're fired." A heavy silence fell over the store. Sophia felt the air leave her lungs. Fired? Just like that? She had given this place everything, endured humiliation, long hours, and constant disrespect, only to be thrown out like trash. Henry stepped forward. "That seems unfair." Miranda's smile turned cold. "With all due respect, sir, this is none of your concern." Sophia swallowed the lump in her throat. She wanted to fight back, to argue, but she knew it was useless. She glanced at Henry, offering him a small, reassuring smile. "It's okay," she said quietly. With that, she grabbed her bag and walked out, her heart heavy. She had lost everything in a single moment, but what she didn't know was that someone had been watching the entire time, someone who wasn't going to let this injustice go unnoticed. Sophia walked aimlessly through the bustling city streets, the sting of humiliation still fresh in her mind. She had given years of her life to that boutique, endured the taunts of her co-workers, the endless demands of Miranda, only to be tossed aside like she meant nothing. Her heart ached, but she refused to let the tears fall. She had been through worse. She would survive this too. As she turned a corner, lost in thought, a sleek black car pulled up beside her. The tinted window rolled down, revealing a sharply dressed man with piercing blue eyes. He looked powerful, the kind of person who belonged to the world she'd just been cast out from. "Sophia?" His deep voice held authority, but there was something else too, curiosity. She hesitated, gripping her bag. "Who are you?" The man stepped out of the car, his presence commanding. Nicholas Carter. The name sent a jolt through her. Everyone knew who Nicholas Carter was, one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in the country. He owned multiple businesses, including luxury brands far beyond anything she could ever afford. Her throat went dry. "Why do you know my name?" A slight smirk played on his lips. "Because I've been looking for you." Sophia's heartbeat quickened. "Why?" Nicholas studied her for a moment, then gestured toward the car. "Come with me. There's someone who wants to see you." Everything in her screamed that she should walk away. Strangers in expensive cars didn't seek out nobodies like her. But something in his expression, something unreadable, made her pause. Against her better judgment, she nodded. The ride was silent, tension thick between them. When the car pulled up to a grand estate, her breath hitched. This wasn't just wealth, this was power. Nicholas led her inside, down a long hallway, and into a lavish sitting room. There, seated comfortably with a cup of tea, was Henry. Her eyes widened. "Henry?" The old man grinned. "Good to see you, dear." Confusion swirled in her mind. What's going on? Nicholas stepped beside her. "Henry isn't just anyone, he's my grandfather." Sophia felt the air rush from her lungs. The same man she had been fired for helping wasn't a beggar. He was the grandfather of one of the richest men in the country. Henry chuckled at her shocked expression. "I suppose this is quite a surprise." Nicholas crossed his arms. "I don't let injustices slide, Sophia. You were fired for doing the right thing. I intend to make that right." She swallowed. "You don't have to do anything for me." Nicholas tilted his head, intrigued. "You really don't want anything?" Sophia met his gaze. "I didn't help Henry for a reward. I helped him because it was the right thing to do." A flicker of admiration passed through Nicholas's eyes. For the first time in a long while, someone had surprised him. Sophia never imagined that a single act of kindness would pull her into a world so different from her own. One moment, she was a struggling boutique assistant, and the next, she was standing in the grand estate of Nicholas Carter, the most powerful billionaire in the country. Even more shocking was the revelation that Henry, the old man she had defended, was his grandfather. After their conversation, Nicholas had offered her a job at one of his luxury fashion companies. She hesitated at first, reluctant to accept what felt like charity. But Henry had gently urged her, reminding her that she had lost her job unfairly. Eventually, she accepted, determined to prove herself worthy, not because of Nicholas's influence, but because of her own skills. But stepping into Nicholas's world came with consequences. Vanessa, Nicholas's supposed fiancée, was furious. She had always been by his side at high society events, playing the role of the perfect match. But now, there was a new woman in the picture, one that Nicholas actually paid attention to. From the moment Sophia entered the company, Vanessa made her hatred known. "So this is the little charity case Nicholas brought in," Vanessa said one afternoon, her voice dripping with condescension as she walked into the office Sophia had been assigned. Sophia didn't react, refusing to give Vanessa the satisfaction. "I don't know what you think you're doing," Vanessa continued, circling Sophia's desk, "but people like you don't belong in this world. You're just a temporary distraction. Nicholas will get bored, and when he does, you'll be right back where you came from." Sophia met her gaze calmly. "I'm not here for Nicholas. I'm here because I worked for this opportunity." Vanessa's smirk faltered for just a second before she scoffed. "We'll see how long that confidence lasts." But Vanessa wasn't the only one against her. Eleanor Carter, Nicholas's mother, had never liked outsiders meddling in their family affairs. When she heard about Sophia, she wasted no time making her disapproval known. One evening, Nicholas invited Sophia to a formal dinner at his estate. She hesitated, knowing it would be uncomfortable, but Henry insisted she come. The moment she arrived, Eleanor barely acknowledged her. Throughout the meal, she ignored Sophia completely, as if she wasn't even in the room. When Nicholas tried to bring her into the conversation, Eleanor simply turned to Vanessa with a pleasant smile, making it clear who she favored. Finally, as dinner ended, Eleanor turned to Sophia for the first time. "You seem like a nice girl," she said, her voice deceptively sweet. "But this life, it's not for people like you." Sophia clenched her hands under the table. "And what kind of people am I exactly?" Eleanor's smile didn't waver, the kind that doesn't last in our world. Nicholas placed his hand over Sophia's, a silent gesture of support. "Sophia isn't going anywhere," he said firmly. Eleanor's gaze darkened, but she didn't argue. She didn't need to. She knew the war had only just begun. Sophia had never wanted to be part of a battle she didn't start, but it seemed like every step she took in Nicholas's world only pulled her deeper into the war brewing around her. Vanessa's hatred burned brighter with each passing day, and Eleanor's cold disapproval was like a wall she could never break through. But through it all, Nicholas stood by her, unwavering. For a while, it felt like maybe, just maybe, she could survive this. She had a job she loved, working in the fashion industry as Nicholas had promised. She had Henry's unwavering support, and against all odds, she was falling for the man who had changed her life. But then came the betrayal. Vanessa had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and when she finally did, it was devastating. One evening, Nicholas had to leave on a last-minute business trip, and Sophia found herself alone at the office, finishing up some work. That's when Vanessa walked in, her usual smugness replaced with something colder, something victorious. "I told you this wouldn't last," Vanessa said, dropping a sleek black folder onto Sophia's desk. Sophia hesitated before opening it, her heart pounding as she scanned the pages inside, emails, messages, proof that Nicholas had been playing a game with her all along. The words blurred in her vision, but she could still make out the cruel intent behind them. She clenched her fists. "This isn't real." Vanessa laughed. "Oh, sweetheart, denial won't help you. Nicholas never cared about you. He was just amused. He said it himself. He wanted to see how long you'd last before you broke." The words cut deep, deeper than Sophia wanted to admit. Nicholas had fought for her, defended her. But had it all been an act? Had she been nothing more than a temporary thrill in his otherwise perfect life? Vanessa leaned in, voice dripping with mock sympathy. "I'd leave now if I were you, before he gets tired of pretending." Sophia didn't respond. She grabbed her bag and walked out, her vision blurred with unshed tears. She had trusted Nicholas. She had believed he was different. But maybe she had been foolish all along. She disappeared without a word, turning off her phone, vanishing from his life just as quickly as she had entered it. But what she didn't know was that Nicholas had never sent those messages. When he returned and found her gone, confusion turned to fury. It didn't take long to uncover the truth. Vanessa had forged the emails, manipulating everything to drive Sophia away. The moment Nicholas confronted her, Vanessa's confidence crumbled. But the damage had already been done. Sophia was gone. For days, Nicholas searched for her. And when he finally found her, living in a small apartment on the other side of the city, back to struggling just as she had before, he didn't hesitate. He stood outside her door, waiting for her to answer. When she did, her expression was guarded, pain flickering behind her eyes. "I know what Vanessa did," he said without preamble, "and I know I should have protected you from her." Sophia crossed her arms. "It doesn't matter. You saw how easily I walked away. Maybe this wasn't meant to be." Nicholas stepped closer. "No," he said firmly. "You walked away because you thought I betrayed you, but I didn't, and I won't let you go because of her lies." She wanted to believe him. She really did. But trust wasn't so easily rebuilt. As if sensing her hesitation, Nicholas pulled out something from his pocket. A small velvet box. Her breath hitched as he slowly opened it, revealing a stunning diamond ring. "I don't care what my mother thinks. I don't care what Vanessa did. The only thing I care about is you." His voice was steady, sure. "Marry me, Sophia." Tears welled in her eyes, but this time they weren't from pain. She had walked into that boutique a nobody. Now she was standing at the edge of something she had never dared to dream of. She took a shaky breath and met his gaze. "Yes,